Why would I say agree with someone even when you don't? Find out now. Hey everyone, Mike Sweet here from mikesweet.co.uk, and this is all about agreeing even when you don't. I know that sounds a little bit oxymoronic, but there's method to this madness. Now, some people like to fight their own corner. Some people like to debate their argument. But we've seen on TVs what happens in debates. You end up with two people who disagree, who hold on to their beliefs dearly. So what I'm saying here is to agree with someone even when you don't, initially. Now, it's not just about bending over backwards and taking what someone says and going, okay, I'll get rid of any of my thoughts and beliefs and understandings on this. I'll just go with whatever you're saying. That's not it. But if you agree with someone initially, it gives you another crack at the whip. It gives you another way to carry on the conversation and to instill some flexibility in a person's thoughts, beliefs, and understandings. A disagreement will create disagreement. And that immediate divide, people want to stand by because they've put their flag in their ground. They've said, no, this is where my stance is and this is what I believe. And there's no movement from it. So from your perspective, all that's going to happen, you're going to keep fighting head. If you completely disagree and carry on disagreeing, you'll keep building your walls as high as you can. Now think about in some of the other videos I've mentioned, we like what's familiar and cognitive dissonance, how people's beliefs, whether true or not, begin to grow and begin to manifest and spread. Very, very hard to knock down once you disagree and carry on disagreeing. So my suggestion is, with what anyone says, as long as you can carry on talking, of course, is agree even when you don't. But this is how. Let's look at this from a sales angle. Let's say that you're knocking doors, selling gas and electricity for from a very small company, but you can offer the UK's cheapest, for example, gas and electricity. And you knock on someone's door, opens the door, and they are the person to speak to, and you say, you hear from the XYZ company, and you'd like to sell them the UK's cheapest gas and electricity, just saving them money every month. Would they like to go ahead? Now they might say something like, well, I've never heard of you, and why would I want to change, and it's all too much hassle, so no thank you. Now, you could completely disagree and go, no, we are a big company and we have sold X amount of these and we've got 50,000 people on our books, and create that disagreement. But what happens if you agree and you say, yes, I understand, we are small, which is why we are able to offer the UK's cheapest gas and electricity. And then they might say, well, I don't want all this hassle with changing. I completely understand. I know exactly where you're coming from. Whenever you change gas and electricity suppliers, you're toing and froing and making phone calls. And it's very difficult, isn't it? But because we are small and because we do care, we do that for you. Possibility. Agreement. You see what happens? So by agreeing with someone's response, it says, look, I understand you. And there's another way. Of course, you're always right. Of course it is. And there's another way. And it allows people to not have their beliefs or ideas or dreams shattered, because that creates such dissonance inside that they want to keep fighting for it, because they know that the top four or the major six, wherever they've used, are the best because that's who they've always gone with. People don't like their old beliefs shattered or broken. They like what's familiar. So when you think about this, when you agree even when you don't, you're able to confirm that they've been making the right choices. But there's also another way. To put some structure to agreeing even when you don't, and again, let's use it in a sales format. No doubt, or maybe you've heard of it before, the feel, felt, found. And it's a great way to take someone from their initial belief and right there around to something that's completely different, potentially. Now, let's use the gas and electricity market. You knocked on the door, you spoke to Mr. Jackson, and he's happy with who he's with because he's got lots of ideas about why he's with the top four or big six or whatever. And you could use something like, remember, feel, felt, found. I understand, Mr. Jackson, why you feel this way about a small company. Because most of the customers that changed from the big six felt the same way. But what they found is that once they've been with a smaller company who picks up the phone, who does care, and who offers the UK's cheapest gas and electricity, then they're really glad they spent those 3 minutes signing those forms to get help and support by changing their supplier. Now, is that something you'd like to do? You see, feel, felt, found is a way that you are agreeing with someone, you're then agreeing with their next statement, and then you're telling them what they're about to discover when they look over the fence. You're not saying, no, you're wrong, the big guys have been ripping you off all along. See, feel, felt, found and agreeing even when you don't is a really great way to open a person's eyes to what they can have. And it also says, look, I'm trying to understand you here because I really believe in what I believe in, not because it's my belief, because I fully understand. So another way of this agreeing when you don't, it might be an argument with a spouse or someone at work. That would be great, someone at work. And they said, it has to be done this way. Rather than go, don't talk rubbish, it doesn't. My way's great, leave me alone. You could say, okay, that's interesting. I sort of see where you're coming from, but I seem to be missing the bit that does, can you tell me a bit more about that? And perhaps the person, whenever they're telling you about their belief, they break, I don't need to rationalise, just do it this way. Well, I'd love to do it that way. And I sort of see where you're coming from, but before I do it wrong or not quite get it right, can you just run me through? You see, it gives you another, it's almost like a fight, but rather than getting hit and punching straight back, you're just deflecting slightly. You're just moving, you're being very agile. And that's what agreeing, even when you don't, does. Let's have a look at one more example for the agree even when you don't in that sales format. That seems to be where it fits quite nicely. Now, let's use Mr. Jackson again. Let's pick on Mr. Jackson. So he's had his gas electricity sales guy, and now he's looking for a quote for his new bathroom suite. And Mr. Jackson, he receives his quote and he gives you a call to say, thank you very much, I've received my quotation. It's very detailed, it has everything in it. But it's quite a lot more expensive than I thought. In fact, it's more expensive than the other two quotes I've had. So how do you go back with this with an agreement? You say, well, Mr. Jackson, thank you. And you're right. Most weeks I hear of several people that we are expensive. And that's right, because we don't offer anything cheap. The value is in our service, which is why people choose us and have done for the past 10 years. It's the quality of the workmanship we offer. It's the 10-year guarantee. And it's the fact that most of our work comes from referrals, which makes people see past the we're expensive, because we don't plan to be cheap for anything. You see, by saying, no, we're not expensive, would then stop Mr. Jackson in his tracks, except you are expensive, and say, of course, we're not cheap. But there's a real reason for that. There's a real value. So think how you can use the agree even when you don't. Try it with a partner. Try it with a friend. Try it at work. And enjoy. Remember, you're not going to learn psychology, NLP, influence, persuasion, or any of this stuff by watching, listening, or reading. The only way is by applying, by experience. So if you really want to experience this each week and begin to really develop your own skill set, then pop over to mikesweet.co.uk/sign up, pop your email details in and receive a weekly email of how you can begin to implement some of these principles and techniques into your personal and business life. So I hope you've enjoyed today's video and got something from it. Remember, they're only supposed to be short and sweet, just to give you a bit of an insight. Remember, we can connect on social media, on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Mike C Suite. And please do like, please do comment, please do share. See you soon. Bye for now.